Um, Last machshava tfisa bay. Klal, the idea that no thought can grasp the Eibishter's essence, and we were speaking about at length about the different levels in Seichel. There's Bina, there's Chachma, and Chachma itself. There's different levels. There's the Nekuda of the Chachma. There's the Hanacha Sichlis, the idea that he has a certain premise and understanding. There's the level of there's the level of Re'iyah of Chachma. All these things we're saying fall into the category of less machshavet tfisa, that no thought can grasp the Eibishter. Now we're going to explain in Avodah, which is a similar type of concept that in Avodah there's no thought that can grasp Hashem himself. So we're holding on Ois Gimel, almost at the top of page Ches. So too, it's also in the Avodah. It's known that every matter has something similar to it in Avodah. Over here, we're talking about Avodah, we're talking about Av, love of Hashem. Less Pulchana, as we know, there's no love, there's no service like the service of love. So in other words, that is the Avodah, the service, the Avodah of love also has that about which we would say less machshavet tfisa. Yesh b'zeh kamay, just like we spoke about in Seichel, there's many different levels of Seichel. There's been in the Chachma, there's many levels. So too, in love of Hashem, there's also different levels. And in most of them that we're going to talk about, we're going to say also this principle of less machshavet tfisa. Hine, yesh ava shabai deis bonus b'gdul Hashem v'niris b'savus hanivroi. There's a type of love that comes as a result of meditating on the greatness of the Eibishter. How does he know about the greatness of the Eibishter? Because he's looking and he sees the greatness of the Eibishter in the creation of all the creations, in the coming into being of the creations. Like it says in the pasuk, how many are your actions, how great are your actions, both quantitatively and qualitatively, that a person could think into how many millions and billions of creations there are, and how many different species, for example, of different animals and plants and so on. And within each species, there's millions and billions of animals and so on. And also in the quality of the creations, the sun, the moon, the stars, etc., etc. So from that he comes, if that's how great the creation is, so we could have some type of inkling of how powerful and how great the Creator is. He says, since thinking into, meditating the idea of both the many creations and the greatness of the creation is something that's logical, rational. And he move on, so therefore it's understood. Also, the love that results through this meditation does not grasp Hashem's very essence, because, as we said before, intellect is very defined and limited, and anything that's defined and limited cannot grasp that which is undefined and limitless, the Eibishter's essence. Yes, but there's a level that is even higher than love. It comes through meditating not in the world and seeing what Hashem does in the world, but just the opposite. We are meditating in how unbelievably removed and wondrous the Ein Sof is. And he thinks into the fact that how the Eibishter, the Ein Sof, is removed from completely undressed from and has no relation whatsoever of the idea of how many and how great. In other words, all of these great creations, this is nothing, and have nothing to do with Hashem's being the Ein Sof, which is so much higher than even relating to the multitude and the greatness of creation. By days, through thinking into this, he reaches a much higher level of love. So perhaps that type of love may be able to be something that grasps Hashem's essence. So they're saying even this doesn't grasp Hashem's essence. Line 20, even meditating in the wondrousness of the infinite light of Hashem is an idea of comprehension. In the comprehension itself, it's not in a way that one knows the thing itself. For example, when a person thinks into how many and how great the creations are, so they know what they're talking about. It's called hasagas achiyuv. Rather, how does he appreciate Hashem's wondrousness? He appreciates it through a negative knowledge. In other words, he negates from Hashem any type of relationship with the world. But even so, even though it's in a way of a negative type of understanding, but still, also this is a matter that involves comprehension. Therefore, also this higher or most highest love that comes from meditating in the wondrousness of the infinite light of Hashem. Still, that doesn't grasp in Hashem's very essence. The less machshavat v'isabekla, like we said before, the expression of the Zohar, no thought can grasp you whatsoever. And since this is a love that's based on thought and understanding and meditation, therefore, it cannot grasp Hashem's essence that's beyond intellect and so on. Any questions before we go on? Okay. So now the mimer is going to continue now with the flip side. The flip side of this is that even though we say less machshavat fisabek klal, no thought can grasp him, the Eibishter himself, and that includes bina and the different levels of chachma and certain different levels of love that are based on meditation. But avol nitpas ihu berusa de liba, the expression is, he is grasped by the will of the heart. Now, a lot of times we use the term reusa de liba, the will of the heart, and it's not really defined what that is. And this mimer will get a bit of a definition of what reusa de liba is. Essentially, it's a bond that is a bond of the core and of the essence. It's not created by meditation and so on. It's just an essential core connection that a Yid has with Hashem. That's the meaning when we have the term, which is like we say, often brought to Chassidus Ru'usa Daliv. Top of page Tes Oizdal. Though no thought can grasp him whatsoever, as we were talking about up till now in the Maimer, still no, he is grasped in the will of the heart. But the idea behind this is which means Ritzayin Alev, just translates it from Aramaic, the will of the heart. This will of the heart is something that's higher than the love that comes through meditation. So the Rebbe is going to ask, seemingly, will, wanting something, and love are really the same thing. They're in the same world. Love is related to will. So how are you making a distinction between love and will of the heart? Isn't love will also? says, line 5, though love is also the idea of will. And it's even incorporated in the word Ava. Shari Ava Himaloshan Ava. The word Ava is the word wanting. True in an idea of will. Ava mevias arotzen, that's why it's close one to another. Love, when I love something, then it causes me to want that thing. Sometimes it could be the other way around. Because I want something, I can grow to love it. So in other words, love and will are very closely related. So how can we say that on the one hand, the will of the heart is something that can grasp Hashem's essence, but love cannot. Nicole Buckensee says, line 9, but the love that we've been talking about up to now, that cannot grasp Hashem's essence, it's not the will of the heart. What does it mean, the will of the heart? So the will of the heart means it's unrelated to the mind. It's coming from me, not from the mind, from what I use my brain to understand. The idea behind the Ru'us Deliba is an essential will, a will of the essence that's higher than reason and logic. The analogy for this is the love of a child for his father, the father to his child. It's a love of the essence that doesn't come about through meditation. Through it becomes the bond in the essence of the father specifically. In other words, because it's a love of the essence, so it doesn't just bind him to the external aspects of the father. The father has his emotions, the father has his mind, the father has other aspects of who he is. The bond of the child to the father is not to his mind. When let's say a student has a bond with his teacher, his bond is a bond of the mind. When an employer has a bond with his employee, it's a bond of his services or the money that he gives him. But the bond of a child to the father is distinct from and or unique in that doesn't involve all the externals. It's about the bond of the very essence. Then that have been contrasted with other types of levels of love. It's not similar to the love of a lover and his beloved. Though in a love between a lover and his beloved could be a very powerful love and a very powerful bond. We call Makim. There's still causes and reasons that brought about this love and this bond. Either because the beloved does good for him. That's the feeling that the connection with this person is good for him because that person has been beneficial for me. Since that person's been beneficial for me, so I love that person. Or it's the love is a result because of he realizes how great that person is. He loves that person because that person's qualities. An intellectually great person, that's why I love him. Could be a person of a very fine character, that's why I love him. So that's a feeling of the thing itself is good. So in other words, one is more self-centered. The first is more self-centered. What I'm gaining from it, since I gain from this person, therefore I love him. Another thing is a more altruistic type of love, that I love this person because of what that person stands for, represents, how that person acts, and so on. That's why I love him, not because what I gain from it. But in both situations, it's a result of my understanding what that person is about. Line 22, therefore there has to be some type of meditation and intellectual comprehension. How this is a good person, that he does goodness to him, or he has to understand intellectually in his mind the goodness and the quality of this person, how well and how good this person is. When he understands the manner of that person's elevation, so then he becomes bound up with him and devoted to him. As opposed to the love of a child to his father, it's not a result of what the father gives the son. The Rebbe says, parenthetically, yes, we do have to be appreciative of what my father gave me, but that's not the basis of the love. Let's see the parentheses. Like explained in ethical teachings, of top of page Yud, since the father feeds him and gives him to drink, the person needs to love him, needs to honor him. So true, one could come to a love of their father by meditation, or it could be just that he recognizes how his father is a very, highly developed and highly special person. But that's not the source of the love. As much as one can bring that out, that source, but that's not the true source of the love. Rather, the love is a result of the fact that the son is considered one essence with the father. They're not two separate. They are now two separate beings, but they're really at core one essence. There's an expression in Chazal, Bra Karadav, where the son is like the leg of his father. That's the idea of the will of the heart. It's the essential bond that comes from the essence of the soul. That's what it means, the Rusa, the Liba, the love of a Yid for Hashem, because of a Rusa, the Liba type of love. And when it's a love that comes and out of the essence, not because of any reason, and then then through this we grasp Hashem's essence, like the very famous expression, etzem nemt etzem, that essence is able to take and to get hold of the essence. So when one approaches Hashem with the essence, so then one can get Hashem's essence. When we approach Hashem with understanding, with comprehending, with figuring out Hashem's great qualities, so then one is only connecting to the externals of Hashem. But when one comes with one's very essence to connect with Hashem, so then what is their connection now? What does one grasp now? One grasps the essence. So that's what it means. That Hashem is grasped with the will of the heart, because the will of the heart is an essential bond, and that we can connect with Hashem's very essence, with Bay, like we said. Last Machshavat Tfisa Bay. Bay means Hashem's Atzmus. That Hashem's Atzmus can be grasped when we have and we approach with the Ru'us Dalib. Any questions? Okay, we're holding line 8 on page Yud. Oisei. V'hinei derech ma'amer hazoyer less machshavat tfisa b'klal avol nifsir b'lurs deliba, similar to this language and expression of the Zohar, that no thought can grasp him whatsoever, but he's grasped the will of the heart. Isagam b'Tanya. There's a similar concept in Tanya, except that instead of Ru'us Deliba, there is something else with which we grasp Hashem. So the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, in Perek Dalet, less machshavet tfisa beklal, no thought can grasp the Eibishter whatsoever. Kim kasher tfisa mishlabeshes b'toydim. It's only when it's grasped and enclosed in Torah and mitzvahs. In other words, Torah and mitzvahs function in a similar way like Rusa the Liba. Then the Eibishter is grasped. The Indians, this idea, that through Torah mitzvahs, now we can grasp him. How is that possible? Though no thought can grasp him whatsoever. So how is it possible that Torah mitzvahs can grasp him if no thought can grasp him? Because the way we're grasping him is not as a result of intellect. Rather, because in Torah mitzvahs there is the essence as well. Like we said before, that etzem can take etzem. So since Hashem invests and embeds his very self in Torah mitzvahs, therefore, despite the fact that less machshavet tfisa no thought can grasp it, so therefore, but in Torah mitzvahs, since Hashem's very essence is in him, so through performing Torah mitzvahs, I can grasp Hashem's essence. So now we're going to come back to what the Maimer began. The Maimer started with what it says, Tachlis, Chachma Tshuva Ma'asim Tovim. So, Tachlis, Chachma Tshuva Ma'asim Tovim. That the goal of Chachma and the Iker, or the main thing of Chachma, is Tshuva and good deeds. The Tachlis, the Iker, Chachma, the goal and the main thing of Chachma Tshuva Ma'asim Tovim. Why? So that it should be grasped at Hashem's essence. Like it's explained in the Maimer of the Friedrich Rebbe from the Rebbe's wedding, or the Rebbe Sheva Brachas, at least in short, this concept that even though that one cannot grasp the Eibishter only through Rusa the Liba, so the Chachma is not enough. The meditation is not enough because Chachma is not going to be able to have us accomplish what we need to accomplish to get Hashem's essence. And moving up here, it's understood also by what's explained at greater length in a different place, but in the Maimer called the Vilmush Malchus of Torah, being the miles of mitzvahs al limra Torah, concerning the advantage of mitzvahs over Torah study. Because Torah study is Chachma, and mitzvahs we have Hashem himself. It's like Gam miles of Ma'asim Tovim. That's also the advantage of good deeds. Good deeds is mitzvah. But that itself is that by prefacing tshuva, that through that the actions become good. Legabe chachma, that it's over the idea of chachma. In other words, the Rebbe, we've had this in other places. Why does it say tshuva before ma'asim tovim? It said ma'asim tovim, and then plan B is if a person messes up, then they do tshuva. So we say, it explains through the true idea of tshuva, of the neshama returning to the Eibishter and having that connection to the Eibishter, so then the actions of the mitzvahs are toivim and meirim and they're illumined. But be that as it may, the main thing is the ma'asim toivim is mitzvahs and chachma is Torah. In ma'asim toivim mitzvahs, there's Hashem's essence embedded in it. Therefore, we are tfisa bay over the level of chachma. Then move on from this is understood. The dafkai did tshuva ma'asim tovim only through tshuva and good deeds like him as a etzem k'mayal deirus the liver we grab hold of the essence like through the will of the heart. Top of page Yudal. According to this, we can understand what the Rashi is out to explain, that the goal of Chachma And he translated the main part of Torah. Seemingly, the Lechura Ma'amoisim Shemefirusha Chachma Torah. What is Rashi trying to add by saying that Chachma is Torah? You know, the Chiddush over here is as follows. The truth is, Torah also has etzem. So therefore, why are you telling me that mitzvahs have a mile over Torah? Because in the mitzvahs there's the etzem. In Torah there's also etzem. But the etzem in Torah, al shazel ikara shel Torah. That is the core of Torah. Let's explain, because there's different components in the Torah. Which is Adam Marashab will say, but the Chaydus was Torah Shalom, like the Rebbe Rashab explained in the well of Simchas Torah in the Sichas of the Rebbe Rashab known as Torah Shalom. The main idea of Chachma is bittul. In Chachma itself, there's a whole stature. There's many ideas, many things. It also has understanding and comprehension. But what's the main goal of Chachma? The main idea of Chachma is removing all forms in it. That's the idea of bittul. Now, like the Rebbe Rashab adds and explains in the above mentioned Sikha in Torah Shalom, Gam B'Jargon, he also explains it in Yiddish. The true idea of Chachma is the bittul that he calls Iber Gemkai, devotion. Inyan Zehu Ikra Shet Torah. That is the core of Torah. I do Inyan Ha'etzem Shebet Torah, the essence of Torah. In other words, like this, one can get lost in the aspect of the Torah that's intellectual and comprehension. Over there, if one is preoccupied and loses track and loses sight of the essence of Torah, and they're only taken by the Chochmaschem Benaschem Le'ini Kol Amim, that's very smart and very intellectual and very deep, then he's not connecting with the core of Torah. And if he's not connected to the core of Torah, they're not connecting with the essence of the Eibush. So the main thing is we have to connect with the bittul of Torah, the etzem of Torah. And then line 16, Shal Yadai Loichim As Atzmusi, as part of through that we are taking Hashem's essence. So Takus Chachma, that's what it means, that the goal of Chachma is tshuva and good deeds. The primary part of Torah is Shal Yadai Loichim As Atzem, through the level of the core of Torah, and through the Maisim Tovim, through the mitzvahs, we grasp and get hold of the essence. The Ikar Shel Torah is able to get the essence, just like we get the essence through Tshuva Maisim Tovim. Through this, we reach the revelation of the essence that will be when Mashiach comes. Like it says, like it says, that the glory of Hashem will become revealed, and all flesh will see together that the mouth of Hashem has spoken. Any questions?
Does this relate to what we've been learning in Tanya the last few days?
Okay, have one.
Hello? No. You hear me?
I guess he left.
Okay.
So Ruben, are you saying you understand what's going on in Tanya lately?
No, that's what I'm asking. I'm completely lost. Not completely. I listened to it about 5 times.
No, I think
Maybe
he left. He's not here anymore.
You got it? You can explain it to me.
Yeah. I'll have a shoot with you tonight at midnight, okay?
Okay. All right. See you in a bit.
Huh?
I'll see you in a bit.
Yeah.
Have a good day.